better now?
All right, hello everybody. We are back with another beginner DIY repair session. So if you are tuning in for the first time, I am Sarah. I am not a licensed repair technician. He is behind the camera right now, but I am a DIY novice.
Hey everyone.
Chris is our repair expert that you usually see in the videos.
Yeah, so thanks, Sarah. So today we're going to talk a little bit about washing machines not pumping water out. So it's probably one of the most common service calls you tend to see out there, and there's an awful lot of times when the homeowner can actually do the repair instead of having to call someone in. So we've got this particular front load washer here, and we're going to show you some of the things you'd want to check and how you would go about doing that. And Sarah's going to actually take this one apart and take the pump out of it so you can see typically how it's done and some of the things that can cause your machine not to pump out.
So what I've done would be the same process that a homeowner would do. I went onto YouTube and I searched washer not draining. I watched various videos that we have made about washers not draining and about how to unclog a drain pump. So that's going to be the goal today. So I'm going to figure out how to get into the drain pump, get it cleared out, and hopefully get the water out of the machine.
Yeah. So I've set this machine up for Sarah. Sarah has not had this machine apart before, so this will be new for her. I've added a couple little things inside just to kind of help demonstrate some of the situations that you would run into with your pump and your washer. So that'll just make it a little bit more fun than that Sarah doesn't know what I've done yet. So we're going to do that at the same time. As always with any of these lives, if you have any questions regarding your appliances or comments or ideas or anything at all and you want to mention it, just put it into the conversations and we'll try and answer your questions the best we can.
Yeah, we're just a team of two today, so
Yeah.
one or both of us will occasionally be off camera to go check the comments, move the phones around so that you can get a better view. So
Yeah.
this is a scrappy version today, so bear
Yep.
with us.
Yeah, this one's just going to be just plain fun. So let's think about this washer. This washer's complaint is it does not pump out all the water. Sometimes it even has a leak. So what do we do?
Take it apart.
That's
Yeah,
exactly
so
it. So
I'm assuming there's got to be a clog somewhere. So either one of the hoses or the pump filter pump itself is going to be. Those are going to be the main parts. Is like the drain hose,
Yep.
the drain filter, the drain pump are going to be
Yep.
clogged.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. So you either have something restricting the water flow from getting into the pump, so it can be pumped out, or there's something restricting the water going from the pump out to the drain, or there's something actually physically wrong with the pump itself, whether it's the impeller that actually pushes the water or the motor part of it, the electrical part of it that makes it work. So we're going to take it apart and talk about all those particular issues. So let's have at it, Sarah.
All right.
Okay.
So this one, it's going to be a front access,
Yep.
right? So
Yeah.
we got to take just this. We don't have to take the entire cabinet off the washer. It's just going to be this front panel, and then we should be able to get to the drain pump.
Yeah, this one's a little easier to do in the fact that the pump's right down here in the base, and this has an access panel that comes off. Whereas some front loads, you actually have to remove the whole complete front piece, which isn't that terrible deal. We got lots of videos on those that can show you how to do that. So the only real downside to this machine, while it's a great machine, is a lot of times to get this panel off, you have to get these 3 screws off the bottom, and it's very, very close. We're fortunate enough to have it up in the air a bit, so it's easier to work on. In your home, it's a little bit trickier because you're basically sitting right here on the floor trying to get these 3 individual screws in.
You got them on there quite tight.
Yeah, it's such an awkward spot. I'll get the one on this side.
Appreciate your assistance.
You'll still get a bill in the mail.
It's not gripping. Or maybe it is. There we go.
Yeah, it's an awkward angle on those.
Better. Okay.
Alrighty.
Where are you storing them?
I'll just take it over
perfect.
here.
There.
There you go.
Okay. And that is how easy it is to access your drain pump.
Yep. Now, on some of your front load machines, some of the newer ones actually have a cutout in that panel where you can pop a little door open and you can see this much of the pump so that you can actually do your clean out of your filter in here on a regular basis before you even have a problem. But on this particular model, you have to go through the process that we are today.
Right. So I'm just going to pick us up and move us a little bit closer to the action.
Excellent.
There we go. So this right here is going to be the filter. So hopefully if there is any clog, it's going to be in here because this is going to be the easiest bit to get
Right.
out and to get it cleaned.
Yeah.
If you can see that's the hose from the tub. So in theory, if anything, you know, if you had lint, debris, change that was in your laundry, that got out of the tub and is going to get sucked into the filter here. And then the smaller hose is going to be the drain hose.
Correct.
So that also might end up with lint and
Yeah.
debris in it as well. But that one you could disconnect from the back and flush that one out as well.
Yeah. It's amazing what you'll sometimes find in these. Now, there's a very good chance if this machine hasn't been pumping out really well, that there's going to be some water come out of there. So what I'm going to do is just give Sarah a bit of help, is before she pulls that right
Ooh,
out.
Yep, no, it's
I'm
dripping.
gonna- yeah, there you
There,
go.
the water works for everyone.
So that's what's going to happen.
In my head as I'm going righty, tighty, lefty, loosey. All right, so we got water.
So if this machine had a full tub of water, you might need a little bit bigger container, or you're certainly going to need a bunch of towels,
Or a shop vac, maybe, too.
or a shop vac.
All right. Ooh, it's still coming. All right. I'm making messes everywhere. Okay.
Yeah, so having a couple of big towels around is not a bad idea when you're doing this, especially if you think of this machine sitting on the floor. There's not room for this nice big plastic container to catch the water.
So, all right. Hopefully no one's got a queasy stomach. This isn't too bad, but you can see there's some lint and
Oh, yeah.
debris in there, but that's probably
Yeah.
not the actual problem.
No, you'll be surprised. Now, if you're a pet owner, you're going to find a whole lot of hair in your filter when you pull it out. That stuff just has a way of being caught in those filters, so it's a good idea on the ones that have the filter easily accessible to clean that out every now and then. But I've actually pulled sunglasses out of these, screws, nails. Apparently there's an issue with a certain gender that like to leave screws and keys and things in pockets.
Credit cards.
Yeah. So you never know what's going through your wash machine, and usually if it's in the pockets, it's going to wind up in these pumps. There, we pretty well get all the water out.
All right.
I'll leave the bucket down there just to catch the drips that are still coming.
I am. Oh. Okay, so I'm not sure. I'm putting on some gloves because I don't want to stick my
Yeah.
hands in this mystery item here. But as Chris talked about leaving me little surprises, I think I see one tucked in here.
Yeah. Just to mention something. Now Sarah's putting gloves on, and that's a really good idea because
Nope.
in,
Oh, the smaller ones.
in these machines, they have nice smooth edges that you can see from the outside, but once you get inside, all these metal edges are fairly sharp. So you want to be careful. So it's a good idea if you can. Oh, look at what you found.
Yay! Christmas came early.
Yeah.
We got socks.
There you go. Now that's certainly going to restrict the flow of water. And I know it may seem funny to think, oh, a sock would never be able to get all the way down from inside that basket, but they do. That front edge where this gasket is, you'd be amazed at what actually slips between the inner and outer tub and makes its way down into the pump.
So it turns out the dryer is not always the problem child when it comes to missing socks.
No, it's not. It's not unusual. And socks are pretty common to pull out of pumps. And like I said, I've even had a pair of sunglasses, a fully intact pair of sunglasses. So yeah, you never know what you're going to find. But that's pretty common that something like that can work its way in and block the water flow.
So hopefully, if your washer's not draining, that is the absolute easiest, best case scenario, is it was just a blockage in the filter, which is very easy to access
Yeah.
and clean out.
Yeah,
However, if there was nothing jammed in here,
right.
what do we do next?
Well, the next thing is to, if it's clear from the tub and right down through into this chamber, so you know there's not a blockage there, there could be something inside from this direction where your pump impeller is.
Okay.
So this is where you tend to find small screws or nails that get in there and will actually jam the pump impeller. And we're going to pull this out so we can show you what's in the pump and just where things can get jammed up. So to your point, Sarah, if this is clear, then it's either the pump's plugged up in here, or the impeller's jammed, or the motor's bad, or worst case scenario, something is clogged in the drain hose itself.
Right. So do we have to unclamp the hoses to get this out?
Yes,
Okay.
they're going to have to come off.
So these, I need these guys, right?
Yep.
Because this is, so both the inlet and outlet
Yeah.
hose are,
Yeah, because we're going to take it right out of the machine.
hopefully, there we go, okay. Still a little bit more water.
Yep.
So if you can, got the bright light here. This is just a clamp that was holding the hose onto the filter here.
Yeah.
So this is the one that comes from the washer tub to the pump.
Yeah. And that's a crazy kind of clamp. It's called you hear a couple of different terms for it, hog ring clamp. Yeah, different type of names for it. Sometimes the name people use for it sounds a lot like curse words, and that's because it's such an awkward thing to work with. Not necessarily get the clamp off in order to like take the hose off, but when you go to put it back on, they can be a pretty painful thing to deal with. So we want to take the drain hose off, and that actually has a screw or a gear type clamp. So
I passed the tools over to Chris because it's on his side of the washer.
there you go. So I'm just loosening off this clamp. And now I can just pull the drain hose right off of the pump. And again, this sometimes will have water in it, in which case having this off should drain it right out. So we're in good shape. If we'd have pulled this hose off without having this piece of it, we would have water flowing all over the place. So we also have an electrical connection on the pump because this is a 120 volt electric motor. So we need to remove that electrical connection.
Perfect.
So it's just underneath the cover.
I guess we should have started by saying that the washer is unplugged from both electrical and water supply before we started doing all this. So this
Yeah.
has been sitting water in here and there's no power to the machine.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point, Sarah, that any of the videos we do, we're always going to have the power removed and the water turned off, unless it's some part of our diagnostic we need to have one or the other. But yeah, it's a really good point. You're going to be doing any kind of service work, even cleaning, whatever, you want to remove the power.
So this one's just a little wire harness
Yep.
to disconnect.
Yep, and it just pulls straight out.
We've got to take the gloves off for this one. More finesse work. Or I'm on the wrong side of the.
Well,
there we go.
there you
all
go.
right, that's
Yep.
all it was. Just the little
Yep.
harness right there.
Yeah, and the nice thing with that harness is it's designed to only go on one way. You can't mix it up, you can't make a mistake. If you try to put it on differently than it's designed, it's just not going to go on. So you don't have to worry when you go to do it as to which way it goes. It only goes one way.
Perfect. Now this isn't screwed into place. That's correct.
Yeah, this is one of the nice things with this machine. This particular pump is not held in place by screws. It mounts down into the base of the machine, and they use a rubber block actually to lock it into the cabinet. I don't know if we can show them that.
see if I can move our cameras a little.
So this is one of the nice parts. It's right here where the end of the screwdriver is.
Okay.
And all you need to do is to lift that flap up, and then you can pull this whole assembly backwards. Sometimes with a wiggle.
Ooh,
A little
we
bit
have
of
more water
still
coming out.
coming. Yep. And now it'll lift right out. So you can see on the base of the pump, it's got this sort of horseshoe shape here and here, and they just lock into the base of the washer. So they're really easy to get in and out. So there's our whole assembly. Let's see if I can get any last bit of water out. So this is where the hose from the tub attached. This is where the hose going out to your drain attaches. And there's the port where the water comes through, goes through the filter, and then into the impeller itself.
So next, is it we're checking if the impeller is damaged?
Yeah, so now we want to see if something's gotten caught in here. Now this particular pump, it comes to you as an assembly. If you were looking to replace it, it's going to be this housing and this motor attached, just as you see it now. But the pump can be removed in order to check to see if this is bad or if it's broken. And that's just done by a matter of rotating that pump. I'll do that again. Rotate that, pull that off,
That's all
and
there is to it.
there's your pump impeller. Now if you go to turn this, it looks like there's something wrong with it. It's, you know, hard to turn, and then suddenly it turns nice and easy. This is a magnetic style pump, and the beauty of these, as compared to the older style motors, this motor would run, this impeller turns nice and smooth with it. If it got jammed up, the motor would tend to overheat. It would either break something, the coupler, or strip this connection for the impeller, or the motor would overheat and probably cut out or pack it in altogether. But because this is magnetic, this electric coil is separate from this impeller, so there's no real strain other than when it's electrified, it will spin this pump nice and smooth. And that's just the magnets grabbing and releasing in order to make that impeller turn. So if I was to jam this up with a screw or something, that's okay. This impeller won't turn. This motor will be energized, but it's not doing any harm to it. So that's one of the benefits of this style of pump assembly. But if you find that just turns nice and free and smooth, then there's something wrong. That means that something's broken inside.
So you want a little bit of resistance when you try.
Yeah, you want to see this, like right now I'm applying pressure to get it to rotate. And then when the magnets turn to being more repulsive, it just
Then it
flips
flips.
over. Yep.
But if it was just freewheeling, it
Yep.
would be an issue.
Yep. Or not turning at all. If I couldn't do this, then it would have to be replaced because it would definitely be broken. We have an O-ring here. This black circle is a rubber O-ring. You need to make sure that's in place when you, anytime you go to take this apart and put it back together, you want to make sure that that O-ring is there. And you'll usually see there'll be a little bit of like a Vaseline or grease on this O-ring just to lubricate it so that it doesn't come out of place when it's rotated. There's that electrical connection I was telling you about. So that plug just pushes in there, and with these little notches it can only go in one way. So it makes it pretty easy.
And that is an entire washer drain pump.
Yep. And that's pretty common design as far as how they come together and apart. Some machines that are out there, these two don't, these two come apart similar, but they'll have some screws and stuff that go into the housing to hold them. But it's pretty easy to see once you get it out there.
So most of this is just friction fit parts. We had
Yep.
a whole 3 screws and 2 clamps that we had to disassemble in order to get access to this.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
so the getting into your washer is not as daunting as it seems.
Yeah, exactly. And we did kind of cheat because we did pick a nice easy one in order for us to work on today.
We
But
had it in the shop here, so.
but it is a perfect example of the type of drain systems that washers today typically have. Even if this was a top load machine, you'll typically find they're using a similar kind of pump in them as well. So they're pretty reliable. They do a pretty good job. The only thing that will tend to happen is foreign objects get in there and creates a little self-destruction. So if you're thinking about your washer not pumping out and you want to try and fix it yourself, there's no reason in the world why you shouldn't attempt it, because it's actually quite easy to do.
Right.
And again, if it's not this style of machine you have, if you go to our website, put in your model number, chances are you're going to find your parts breakdown, and you'll probably find associated videos on how to service most of the parts that are on it.
So let's pretend that motor was done. We needed a brand new assembly.
Yep.
So let's pretend the one in Chris's hand right now is our brand new one that arrived in the mail and
Yep.
only a few days. So we're basically just need to reverse the steps
That's
to
correct.
get it back in.
Yep. Let me put this in. Something I'm going to mention just while we have this out, and part of a conversation I have quite often with my customers, is this is a factory service part or an OEM part, which means that this part that would be sent to me from our company to you is the same part that the manufacturer used in making their appliance. This is not an aftermarket part. We don't sell aftermarket parts. You can see this one has a designation of FSP, which is a factory service part, which means that the manufacturer has built this part to the exact specifications and design of the original pump that came in your washer when it was brand new. So, you know, there's lots of options out there with aftermarket stuff, but you'll find that they don't necessarily have the same quality of material in them. You're not going to get the longevity, and you're more than likely going to wind up having to do the same type of repair over and over again. So, but anyway, what do you think? Should we try and put it back in?
Yeah. So you had taken it out of the machine. Let's see if I can get it back
Okay.
in properly. Is it tuck one end and then the other? Is that
No, they both drop into those
Right?
notches pretty
Okay.
well the same.
Trying
It's
to
just
got my
a-
own hands in the way now. That's one. Oh, maybe. Again, Chris makes it look really easy because he's been doing it for 40 years. I've been doing this for about 4 minutes here.
Well, if you made it look too easy, then why would people call for technicians?
What did we do where so I was putting a door back on something and got it on the first try, and Chris is like, that's not real.
Yeah,
So occasionally I,
yeah.
okay, so it's in and then shifting which direction to,
Towards you.
towards
so
me.
you
Okay,
go-
and it locks it into,
Yeah.
oh, there we go. There, she's not moving.
Yeah. And you'll know you have it all the way in. Just give it a little wiggle as you pull towards you.
Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
And give it a little bit of... No, I think you got it right in place,
Perfect.
Sarah.
I'm also right-handed and working on the left side of the machine, so we're a little backwards today, but that's fine.
Yeah. So, all we need to do now is just lock in that little rubber tab that we
So you-
lifted up to remove it. So I find the easiest way to do that,
Oh, it's by your knee.
there we go, thank you, is just with a blade screwdriver. So I'm just going to insert that behind the rubber block and push it down into place. There we go. Now I know it's hard for you folks to see that, but basically the rubber flap has a lip so that when I locked it in, it's now locked into the base, and this pump cannot
Not
be
wiggling
moved out
around.
of position.
And I guess since you're on that side, I'll get you to tuck the wire harness back in.
All right, perfect.
So again, this is the reverse process, that if we are reinstalling the old one, or if we got a brand new pump, this
Yep.
is how it gets put back into the machine.
Exactly. So now I've done the easy part.
You're gonna make me put the drain hose on, are
Well,
you?
I'll put the drain hose on.
Okay,
You can put the other hose on.
inlet one.
Yeah.
So with both of these hoses, they fit onto the pump. They just have clamps that need to secure them in, like fully secure them on there so you don't end up with
Yeah.
the water leaking out of your machine before it actually reaches the pump.
Yep. Now, Sarah, I'll be honest, I took the easy one.
I got the big.
So you will probably start to get an appreciation for why there's such a dislike for those clamps that you're going to deal with. Now, tighten that up nice and tight so we don't get any leaks. There we go. Okay.
All right, so let's see. Do I need to clamp it to get it on?
To get your, that's exactly
Okay.
right. You need to be able to squeeze that
Oh, I
together.
got little hands.
Yeah.
This might be. Okay, it's shimmy it along there.
Now Sarah's going to struggle a little bit trying to get this clamp to expand enough to get on and then get the rubber hose onto the end of the pump while applying that pressure. And
I have tiny little child-sized hands, and this tool is
I
bigger
can,
than.
I can tell you, even with larger, stronger hands, these hose clamps are a challenge.
It is fighting me.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have a suggestion.
Okay, I'm listening.
Okay. So why these are an awesome clamp, and they work fantastic on the assembly line when they put your machine together because they have the proper tool for working with this style of clamp. What I typically often do, I will replace that clamp with a gear clamp. So I think we should do that today.
Okay, so you're just
I'm
taking
going
that
to
right
pull
off.
that off. And you can see where these are such a pain in the butt to do because you've got, if you had the tool that it's designed for,
Make sure everyone's able to witness the struggle.
yeah, watch me send this flying across the room. So if you could easily get a hold of this clamp like this, then you can see it's not too bad, but it wants to pop. It wants to move and jump out of these pliers. No matter which way you grip it, it wants to do that. So these are a curse unless you have the same tool that the manufacturer used. So that's why quite often I'll replace them with a screw type clamp, same as what's on the other hose, and it's just much easier to get it on and make sure you got it tightened down nice and tight. Just going to expand this one out a little bit more. There we go. So I can put that clamp on the hose. I can now push that hose on into position all the way up against that housing. I'll move the screw down to the bottom. Clamp up so it's nice and close to the end here. And now just tighten it down. And you can see this is much easier than struggling with that other clamp. Now your new pump assembly, if you were to order one, won't come with any clamps, but you can order these clamps through us. The screw type one that I've just put on, you can order those through us, or your local hardware store will have them.
And as long as the other ones are in good condition, you could just reuse what you already have.
Oh yes, absolutely. If you have the patience and you don't mind struggling with it, these are a terrific clamp as far as holding the hose in place. They're just cumbersome to work with when you don't have the tools. So not bad, eh?
Nope. I'm just gonna unmic myself so I can go cough. I'll be right back, folks.
Okay. So Sarah's off coughing. I'm going to put the bottom panel on. And it's just as easy as it came off. It just lines up, goes into place, and pops up. The harder part of this particular style, is these screws on the bottom. Because the panel tends to have a pressure in design of making this panel move this way. So you need to be able to push it up so you can get it to screw in. And honestly, when you're laying on the floor trying to do this, it's a little bit tougher. But I usually try and start with the one in the center, so I can just barely see the hole as I push it. There, I have to screw in, and now I'll tighten it up some, but not completely. I want a little bit loose, so I have a little bit of flexibility with that kick panel to get the other screws in, or not. Now the manufacturer built this with 3 screws. I've been across enough of these machines to know that not everybody puts them all in, but if you don't, you're going to wind up with this machine rattling and squeaking, especially when it goes into spin cycle. So spend the time, put the 3 screws in, and tighten them up nice and snug. Now, for those of you who enjoy using cordless screwdrivers or power drivers or whatever for taking screws in and out because they're nice and fast, totally agree. They're awesome for whipping screws out. They do a great job. I tend not to use them putting screws back in because they are going into stamped metal, and if you use a gun with any amount of power, you're going to strip those. So use a gun, take them out, but put them in by hand. So there you go, Sarah. It's just that easy.
Yeah, we got all the socks out of the machine and found the missing pairs.
Yep. And now we just got to flip a coin to see who's doing laundry.
Oh, not it.
Perfect, perfect. So there, folks, it's just that easy. And again, depending on your style of machine, it may have an access panel. It may mean require the front coming off. But again, that's not a horrible job for anybody to do. And we've got lots of videos available to you so that you can see how it's done.
There are definitely some parts that are easier with multiple hands, such as if you need to tip the machine, someone hold a flashlight.
Exactly.
It is definitely easier with help, but totally possible to do on your own.
Absolutely. And it's a lot more fun when it's, you got help, because you can laugh at each other when things go silly.
Yeah.
Or somebody gets wet, or
You spill the entire bucket of...
Or spill an entire bucket of water, exactly.
Yep.
Alrighty. How are we doing on questions today, Sarah? Anybody get any questions, or are they being pretty quiet?
We had a few comments related to OEM parts and the change in quality of builds over the year. I know we've talked about this in other articles and videos, and it has to do with a lot of efficiency standards that are put into place. So if you want to touch on why machines, parts, quality has changed over the years, maybe that'll provide some clarity to folks.
Yeah, it's a really good subject. And I mean, for the homeowner, there's the concern that, things aren't built quite the way they used to be. As a service technician, you kind of look at things, and we tend to have, as technicians, a little different perspective than the homeowner, because we get a little bit more insight from the manufacturers that make them as to why they're making these changes. And in most cases, the changes are being made for environmental reasons. In other words, some of the components that used to be used, if you were to go to a landfill and dig down deep enough, you would probably find your discarded washer still looking in almost as good a shape as it did, 5, 6, 10 years ago when you put it in the landfill. So a lot of materials like metals and stuff had to change. It had to be no more of that nice porcelain coating that kept the machine looking so good for so many years. They're just painted steel, and that's again a requirement so that the machine will, when put into a landfill, break down. As well, if the metal's going to be recycled, having all that porcelain finish just adds the expense of doing that. The other thing you tend to see is a big change from mechanical components to electrical components. So in the desire to, and a lot of this is being regulated by governments, as far as how much energy they're using, how much water they're using. So everything's about conservation, conserve on the amount of water, and conserve on the amount of power the machine uses. So a lot of work has gone into especially laundry equipment over the years, and some of the changes they made also gave some changes in the washability of the machine that created a lot of frustration for people. The clothes didn't seem to come as clean as they did. If you're looking inside the washer, you're not seeing the clothes rolling over and having the, the movement that they seem to have in the older machine. You also see a problem with lint and stuff like that that's been part of that transition, and manufacturers have had to struggle with all that. But again, most of the time the manufacturer is being directed, reduce the amount of power your machine uses, reduce the amount of water your machine uses in order to be able to sell it, and have it to have good reliability for the customer and come in at a price that's, realistic for what's involved in making the machine. So you look at a front load machine like this one, this guy's spinning at around anywhere from 900 to 1,000 RPMs. Those clothes are coming out of that a lot drier than they used to from the old top loads. So they're not in your dryer as long, so that's saving you money. The amount of water this uses compared to the old top loads is considerably less. So again, you're saving money and it's reducing the demand for water on the water supply systems. So a lot of good things had to happen. To reduce power, we changed the type of motors from an AC motor that used to run somewhere around 13 amps, which is a lot of wattage that you're paying for, to DC motors that are variable speed, and they're using a third of the power in order to do the same job. So you may pay a little bit more for your machine today. It may not have the life expectancy that it used to, but you're getting a lot of good things from it. More environmentally friendly, less expensive to run, and less expensive to supply it with water. So a lot of good things there.
Right. That about covers the
Yep.
subject for today, I think.
Alrighty.
So we are coming up to the
magic hour.
end of our time here.
Okay.
So the summary, DIY, while it does take a little bit of finessing, is very approachable for beginners to do.
Absolutely.
So don't be scared of taking your machine apart, getting a look inside and putting it back together, because it's not that hard, and the resources are there for you to follow along step by step.
Yep, absolutely. And when you go to attempt something like this, don't do it at a time where you need to be somewhere in 10 or 15 minutes from now. Allow yourself the time to go through the learning curve as to how to take it apart on your phone, on your tablet, on your laptop. Have it close by so that if you need to refer to something that was in the video that you're watching, you can go back and easily see it again. And you'll find there's lots of information that'll help you through. And as you're doing it, you'll see, well, that wasn't that bad. And you just saved yourself a lot of money. When you think of a service call today, you're looking at, a lot of cases for a qualified technician to come to your home. You're looking at probably somewhere between, $60 and $100 just to get them to the door. And then parts, of course, on top of that, plus his markup on the price of the part. And then you're going to be faced with the labor to put it in, plus any mileage charges, any disposal of part charges, taxes. So you can save yourself a lot of money by doing most of this work yourself. So don't be afraid, you can do it, and we're here to help you.
Right.
And after that, I think we'll say goodbye.
Yeah, we'll be back in 2 weeks, and I think we're covering small appliances, so there'll be more of your everyday kitchen items being worked on next time.
Yeah, absolutely. So come see us in a couple of weeks, and I'm not sure what it is. I think it's some sort of food processor or juicer or something we're going to be looking at. I haven't seen it yet, so we'll actually see it together when we do it in 2 weeks' time. So we'll see you then. Thanks for watching.